So welcome everybody to today's webinar. The title of our webinar today is Improving the ICT SMEs Market Presence. And my name is Aline Ayira. I will be your moderator today. I happen to be the digital lead at Ngamia. So I'll be taking us through today's session. So I'll just begin by letting us know a little bit about what Ngamia Holas platform is about. So Ngamia Holas platform is an ICT outfit that has developed a mobile application ecosystem that is meant to support in connecting transporters or service providers and customers to transport, logistics, production, and supply chain industry players. So our ecosystem is built in a way that we look to add value to the stakeholders in place by providing convenience, secure transaction, business trust, and efficiency as well. Our mobile applications can be installed from Google Play, Palm Store, Amazon, and Galaxy for those people who use the Android mobiles, and also we will be available on Apple Store for the iOS users soon. So on YouTube, our social media handle is @Ngamia Africa. So on today's session, I would like to just recognize the presence of our partners today. That is Speachnel Holdings Limited. These are gurus in the insurtech sector, and also Truecaller, who are the world's best caller ID and spam blocking app. They've been working together with us and collaborating with us, so we just want to appreciate them for that. So as we, prepare ourselves to just get started, I'd like to cover some housekeeping rules. So one, I would like to encourage all of us who have joined the webinar to put their mics on silent or on mute, and also put off your video so that we can be able to all benefit effectively. Number two, today's webinar is going to be recorded, so you should be able to get a copy of the video on the email address you used to register for this webinar. Number three, this session is going to be live on Facebook, so you can as well also join us from there. We shall be tweeting in real time, so I invite you to also participate in that. And finally, I'd like to invite you to also feel free to share your questions on the Q&A chat box that is on your screen, so that we can be able to cover as much as possible as we invite you to tag along with us. So I'll get right to it and introduce to you our panelists for today. So I'll start with Dora. So Dora is, she's a certified Prince 2 project manager, and she's also a member of the International Institute of Business Analysts. She has a vast experience in International Institute of Business Analysts. She has a vast experience in solutions implementation process, in leadership, in organizational change management, as well as value delivery at the tactical and operational levels. She also has been involved in digital insurance projects that have been targeted to online customers, both in the medical and general insurance sector. Our second panelist is Harshad Jagtap. Now, Harshad is currently the GTM lead for Truecaller Developers Platform. This team has been charged with the mandate to just build mobile number-based user identity suites, which are currently being used by over 700 leading digital businesses and startups in the world. He's a passionate person, and he's more passionate about solving mobile product ecosystems and technological businesses issues. He's also a very firm believer that it is important for value to be created, and he believes that the value creation is a key for growth in any industry. So these will be my well-able panelists that we shall be hearing from today. So I'd invite you to just brace yourself for an enlightening and educative session. So let's just get right into it. So I'll begin with you, Dora. Dora, you could just speak to us for the next 10 to 15 minutes and just share with us an overview of system integrations, as well as the opportunities that come with integrating. Welcome, Dora.
Thanks, Aline. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Dora Wakesho, and I'll be taking you through the first two parts of the webinar: platform integration opportunities and data authenticity through integration. So just give me a moment. I want to share a brief presentation that I have, and I'm hoping we're going to have a good time and engaging time. Let me just touch on what integration is. I have just one illustration here so that we can be able to understand what this word is. I know when you come to the digital sector, you hear a lot about integration, and for us to understand platforms integration, it will be important to understand the definition itself. So I have here some paper clips from a container, and they're all over the place. Probably the container has stripped. And we have this set of paper clips that are disorganized, and we don't really know what is happening there. So they're just paper clips. But now, how do we take these paper clips and have something that is, we can follow, that is organized and kind of like speaks to each other? So we can use the paper clips as components. So different components, maybe in your organization or in your business, or you can use them as departments. So maybe you work in a large organization that has maybe about 5 to 10 or 20 departments, and their systems are, different. This maybe marketing uses one system, sales uses another system, the operations uses maybe 5 systems. So how do you bring all these paper clips into one organized set of paper clips? Right? So let's begin with that definition. So basically, integration is using different components so they can function together as one. So just as in the example of the paper clips or the different departments in an organization, or maybe different, how can we call them? Different branches for one organization. How can we unify and just ensure that they're working together, these systems or these platforms, ensuring that they're working together? So that's what integration does. All right. So on this next part, so we've understood what integration is. So when we talk about integration, how do we start from what where we are not integrated, mobile phones and laptops, for example. So maybe I've been selling these mobile phones through Facebook or Instagram. So if you want a mobile phone or a laptop, I send pictures on Instagram. You see my pictures on Instagram, and you can decide that you want to buy a specific type of mobile phone. So what would happen is, if you want a mobile phone, you text me or chat me. My number is there. You can chat me and say, I want this mobile phone. And I ask you, I tell you it's this much, and you say, all right, I'll pay for it, deliver it to me at this and this place. I ask, would you like, you'll take care of the delivery fees? Yes. And we start. But now my business has grown, and I want to sell my mobile phones through an e-commerce platform. So there are different things that I need at that point. I'll probably need a website that I can sell. So maybe I was called, my page was called Phones at Kenya, or Phones Kenya, page. So I want to sell these phones through this e-commerce website, right? Through an e-commerce platform, right? So now that's the example I'll use for integration. So how, if I want to sell these phones of mine through a website, I'll have different things. So one of the things I want to be able to do is to ensure that my users can sign up on the website. They can get their details. They can select, just view all different phones I have, select the one they want to pick, add it to their cart, pay through the website, select the delivery location, and I can send it to them. So that's my vision for, let's say, Phones Kenya company. Okay, so let's see, using that example, how the integration process would move. Right. So the first thing, and this happens for all integrations, is we'd be required to gather requirements. So now maybe I've hired one company that will help me in the integration process. And they're supposed to manage everything, make my dreams come true, basically. So what would happen is the first step to integrate would be, first we have to understand what it is you want. So Phones Kenya wants to, basically they want to sell their phones, they want to be able to sell their phones through an e-commerce website. So the first thing, let's say that's the primary objective. We have to understand the requirements and the scope. So just as I've explained to you, they should be able to sign in. Once they sign in, they should select their phone, view all the phones they want or laptops they want. Then after that, they can make payment, their preferred delivery location, and they get their phone and their order is complete, and I send them an email, thank you for shopping with Phones Kenya, come back again, right? So I'd be required to gather those requirements, and document them, right? So at this point, it's usually important to involve the stakeholders. So when I say stakeholders, I don't only mean Phones Kenya, but there are other people. Phones Kenya at that point may not have the ability to build that website, build the website, because they sell phones. Their core business is selling phones. So there are other partners that they can get that will enable them to that. So that's where the gathering requirements part comes in. Then the next part is where we analyze, and we are analyzing operational feasibility. So we've already gotten our requirements, we've gotten the vision of Phones Kenya, and we want to analyze, we want to understand, is this something that can work? Is this something that, just basically understand if you were to go from A to Z, will A, B, C, D to Z connect, or are there things that, we'll need from other people, or, from other partners that will enable the realization of this vision. And as you're doing this, as you're analyzing, you'll notice that maybe you don't only need to be able to sign up, you also need, to be able to, you need people to, when people sign up, they receive a message confirming that, hi, you've joined the Phones Kenya family, welcome. These are some of the things when we analyze, we understand, and we're able to add to our requirements. All right, then once we analyze, we design the architecture. So designing the architecture is basically, we are bringing the different components together, in that we've identified that we need first an email service, right? People are going to sign up using their email. They may provide their phone number. So we want to confirm that the phone numbers exist. And then they'll see, they can see a variety of phones. So probably we need relationships, perhaps, with the phone providers, or maybe we don't, just ensuring that you have the phones there is just enough. Then once they've selected their phone, they can be able to make payment for it. So there, in Kenya, we use M-Pesa mostly. So maybe you need an M-Pesa, you need M-Pesa as a service provider. Then maybe you need someone like Ngamia to make sure that, you can deliver when the customer has already made payment, the phone can be delivered to the customer's desired location. So Ngamia will be a partner in that case, and that's the end of the journey. So you'd be required to, understand, you'd be required to design that, how will the different architectures come in together at that point, and here is mostly where you have the different systems. So someone like M-Pesa has their own system, and they have their own architecture. Ngamia has their own system and architecture. So how will those two systems be unified for you to achieve your goals as Phones Kenya? All right, then once you've understood that, then you integrate. And at the point of integration is where now you have these systems or these platforms coming together, and you do the work. If there are any developers involved, programmers involved, system engineers involved, that's where they come in. You integrate, and once you've integrated, you test. So testing is really important, because you want to see that, you want to ensure that whatever it is you've been doing is whatever results that you wish to get is what has been implemented all along. So that's testing, and testing is usually iterative. It's always iterative, just to make sure that you have the best results that you want. And then lastly is maintaining. So maintaining, again, is iterative. Maybe you'll have an issue. Maybe your your service provider is down, so, or maybe your service provider upgraded and you'll need to also upgrade your system or some of your components so that you can operate at par. So once we have, with our example of Phones Kenya, once we reach maintain, that's where we can see that's like the end of the process. So that's the integration process. And once we're done with that, what we have next is an image like this, where the customer inputs their data. You can see this lady at the end over there. The system just kicks in. You sign up using the example of Phones Kenya. You sign up, we get your details. We're able to contact you. Select your phone. You make payment on the website. You select your preferred delivery location, and we send it to you, and you're happy. So what opportunities are created by platform integration? So as we've seen, the example of Phones Kenya, it's an imaginary company I've just thought of right now. So the example of Phones Kenya, what would platform integration, like what benefits will they have realized? It may be after 3 months after the project, and we are looking at maybe the benefits management plan, and we are wondering, okay, have we really realized, have we realized the value of what it is of the integration that we have done? So one of the opportunities that platform integration creates is a single reliable source of data. So e-commerce maybe is one thing, but there are some industries where sometimes you need someone else once the customer sells, or once once the customer purchases something, but they do it offline. Maybe I'm just walking down the street and you get my details, and I have to write your name down for me to take your name to the company, and for you to be converted to a sale or something like that. So sometimes there's some human intervention when in some industries or some companies when it comes to that collecting data of the customer. And what platform integration does, there's so many service providers there's so many service providers that create that opportunity where you can just, you don't have, like now in this example, you don't have to actually write down on a paper what it is you need for you to get a service. So a single reliable source of data, because data is coming in from one point, it's coming in through your system. And in this case, it's coming in through this specific client. So if it's my name, it is Dora Wakesho. No one needs to enter it for me. If it's my age is there. If it's my date of birth, if it's my gender, if it's my hobbies, if it's the phone I like, all that data is coming in from one point, right? Then other opportunity is that you're able to fast track sales. So you're able to see, you can imagine if in this process where everything is automated, where you're able to get this data and you're able to sell, if a customer calls, for example, let's say at a call center, and they've said, oh, I'm checking out your product, and you can see, they checked out Phones Kenya, they were interested in one product, but they dropped off at some point. Maybe an email came in or a phone call came in, and they're not really ready to buy at that time. You can just call them and say, hi, Dora, we saw that you've checked out our platform and you're interested in maybe a specific phone. So would you like to get it? And you understand the customer. They're like, oh no, I'd like to get it at the end of the month. Right now I'm broke. And at that, you can set a reminder for the end of the month, you call this customer. So you're able to get sales, and you're able to also, do follow up, as you're able to follow up on those leads that you have, basically. And then the next part is you're able to align your team. So with integration, one advantage is that instead of focusing on on the manual efforts, let's say, or one of the challenges of systems operating differently is that there's no data flow. So when you connect systems together, or when you connect platforms together, data is like, you're able to see the single flow of data, if I can say, going back to point one, single flow of data through the system. And now your employees or the team does not have to start, they don't have to start focusing on, how can I say, they don't have to start focusing on manual tasks, you know, like tasks that would have taken them a whole day to do, they can do in minutes, or they can do in half an hour or something like that. So that's how the team is aligned. And so your team is able to focus on efforts that are going to generate more revenue and value for the company. All right. So, so since we've talked about data, we've touched on data just a little bit at the beginning, I want us to go through how integration brings about data authenticity. So to understand this, I thought that first of all, we can reflect, just self-reflection of what poor data has really cost you. You know, for the organizations you work at or have worked with or you own. If you think about it, if you have poor data, there are usually consequences of that. First of all, you can imagine if my phone number, if you call me, maybe you collected the wrong phone number, or I told you my number is 085 and you said, and you wrote 88 and you call and I'm like, no, stop disturbing me. I'm not who you want. So that's an example of bad data. So just to break it down for us, there's this company called Sirius Group, SIRIUS Group, and they did some research and they found out, they tried to quantify the cost of bad data or poor data. So one of the things they found out is that 40% of all business initiatives fail due to poor quality data. That's 40%. So poor quality data, you know, you are not collecting the right, maybe you are not collecting data at all, or you are not collecting the right data. Then they also went ahead to say that poor data costs a company 12% of its revenue. So, you know, you want to, you know, acquiring customers is hard enough. So if you don't get, first of all, you have poor data, you're not even able to retain that customer and your bottom line is affected. And then 500, they learned that, or they researched and found out that 550 hours are lost in selling time because of poor data. So remember the example of where I collected the wrong data. Maybe I was selling furniture in town, you know, or in Nairobi, and I collected the wrong data, and I've actually built the, you know, I got a contact and the client told me, call me at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month. And I wrote 085 instead of 086. I've lost that client. So you can imagine selling, like you've lost your selling time. So the Sirius Group learned that 550 hours are lost in selling time, because of poor quality data. And I'd like to give an example of one company that really got the concept of data very well. And hopefully from that example, we'll be able to learn something and pick something even as I wrap up. So I'd like to use the example of Target Supermarket. So if you've heard of Target Supermarket, it's a chain in the US and it's the 8th largest retailer. So basically it's a supermarket, yeah? And it's the 8th largest in US. So this illustration, I got it from a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Yeah, Charles Duhigg, D-U-H-I-G-G. Yeah, and what the book really talks about is habits. Habits start with a cue. How you form habits, there's a cue, then there's a routine. So probably, let's say my cue is, if I want to drink water, my cue is I'm thirsty, right? So that's the cue. The routine is I take my glass of water and drink. Yeah, let's just use that very simple example. Take my glass of water and drink. And my reward is that I'll be satisfied. The thirst will not be there anymore. So Target Supermarket wanted to take advantage of data. Basically, they had put the systems, let me call them, or the processes in place to collect data. So how? When customers were coming in through their doors, they were using their cards, their credit cards to pay. customers would also get coupons, you know, where you'd redeem a coupon. And you also had the reward cards, you know, no, not a gift card, reward card, where when you buy, you earn points. When you buy, you earn points. You buy, you earn points. So Target had all these, let me call them data collection points. And they had a lot of data, but they didn't know, they wanted to interpret this data. So perhaps in your organization, your business, you have these data collection points. You actually collect data. You know, you have your systems in place, customers are paying through different platforms, and you have this data, you know, like you actually have this data. Maybe even customers signing in your organization. Sorry, not in your organization, but to buy your product, to require customers to sign in. So same thing for Target. They had these data points where they could be able to collect this data. So they wanted to make use of the data. You know, they wanted to interpret the data. They wanted to break it down so that it could add value to the organization. So what they did is they hired a statistician. Let's call them a mathematician, but basically a statistician who will be able to make sense of the data, will be able to analyze that data, interpret it, and come up with models that now Target could use to be able to target customers more specifically. So this statistician, once they had understood the data, they came to learn that one thing that this data could do for them is when a customer comes in, for example, I'm a lady, I come in, I'll buy maybe, let's say I buy a carpet, for example. So I buy a carpet. One day I just walked into the supermarket, I bought a carpet, I bought, what else? I bought maybe one chair, I bought a table mat, I bought a duvet, for example. So I bought some household items, right? So one thing that from the models that this scientist, I think he was called Paul, P-O-L-E, was able to create, like what the model taught him was that a customer like me, I'm buying maybe a duvet, I'm buying a table, I'm buying a chair, I'm buying, you know, just a one-stop shop. You know, I just come and I buy all that. Probably either I have moved or I'm redesigning my house or just something like that. So they were able to understand that this customer has come in, maybe they've moved, or maybe they are trying to refurnish their house. So with that data, they could be able to anticipate what the customer would want next. So I like the example that Charles gave. He gave an example of a woman who is with child. So, you know, she's just had her first child or second child or third child or whatever number of child. And they've come to the supermarket and they want to buy Pampers, they want to buy, you know, food for the baby. They just want everything because it's just this one chance they have. They don't want to, you know, they have a baby to tend to. So let me just buy everything. So from that data, they were able to learn that, okay, this lady has just moved. This one has just had a child. So what is the next thing that they would buy? And they used to have printouts. So I can't remember what they call them, but they used to have like these printouts that they'd send to your home, you know, where you leave your address. And, you know, in this printouts, you can see that if you've just moved, they'll ask you, okay, do you have maybe, how can I say, maybe a shower curtain in your house and in your bathroom? And you're like, oh, by the way, I don't have a shower curtain. So they were able to recommend to the customers things that they felt that the customer would need the next time, you know, so depending on the need of that customer. So their model was able to anticipate that for them, was able to create that for them. And then later on, they came to learn that, okay, not all customers are the same. We can think that this lady is equal to this one, but people have different needs and different wants at the same time. So with the data, they were able to refine it, you know, with whatever data they were getting, their models, they were able to refine them and, you know, make that model work for them, basically. So that's one example of a supermarket or a business that was able to use data to work for them. So in closing, what I'd like to say is just we can see how we can make data work for our businesses. So the first thing is you have to collect data. You know, as I've said, sometimes we have these different data points where we can get data, but maybe we don't realize the value that they have. Especially when we have systems or when we have different platforms, sometimes we may not understand what those platforms, the kind of data that they can give us. And that's why at the process, when you're building requirements, when you're developing your requirements, it's important to come up with that, you know, understand what you really want. So if data is something that you're going for, collect that data first. You need to collect it. And even as you're integrating your platforms, you need to understand, you have to build that in. You have to make sure that it's built into that process so that even as the different companies or system developers are doing their job, they have that vision in mind that you want data. So it has to be there, right? Then the next part, once you collect the data, you analyze the data. So you've collected the data, you analyze it to understand how can it be helpful to me, you know, just organizing it. So you can, let me use the example of Target, where they're collecting information about maybe millions or hundreds of thousands of customers. You know, it's going to be all over the place. You don't know, it doesn't make sense to you. So you have to make sure that it makes sense. And there are professionals called business intelligence analysts who do a really good job in this. You know, they're able to take all that data and make it make sense. And now once that data, once it's been analyzed, they'll present it to management or to the key decision makers in a form that makes sense. And now once that has been done, you as management or, you know, business owner, you have the data. You have to interpret the data and derive insight from it. So I have the data, it's been put in a form that I understand. I have to interpret it. You know, what does this mean? You know, does it mean that maybe most people shop at the end of the month, or most people buy maybe blankets in July here in Kenya, or most people, you know, just anything that you can get. There's a lot of insight that you can get from data. And now once you've gotten those insights, report the data. So basically, once you've gotten those insights, put it in a form that you can understand and also a way that you can apply it in your organization. So how do you apply that data? So if maybe, using the example of a supermarket again, maybe if you learn that most people buy phones, maybe at the end of the month, you can always send out emails to your customers about, hey, we have this new phone, you can come check it out, you can try it out. Maybe we even have a payment plan for you to get that phone. So that's the end of my presentation. I'll invite Arlene. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Dora, for that very insightful piece of information that you have shared with us. I think now we have a better understanding of, you know, why do we sometimes receive emails even from our local supermarkets, because, you know, with time they've been able to collect data and they've been able to turn it around and use it to help us. So at this point, I'd like to invite Harshad. Harshad has done some good work in India as far as just building a frictionless digital experience is concerned. So Harshad, I'll just invite you at this point to share with us what that has been like for you, and really what does building a frictionless digital experience require. Welcome, Harshad.
Thank you so much. Hey Dora, that was really insightful. Good thoughts, good learning. Hi all, I am Harshad. I work on the developer platform at Truecaller. Primarily, me and my team work with a lot of mobile first businesses across geographies, which are India, Africa, Kenya, Egypt, primarily which are biggest markets for Truecaller, right? I'm pretty sure you all must have been acquainted and have used Truecaller somewhere in your lives. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are already our active users. You know, one thing that is, for us at Truecaller, we are truly obsessed is making the communication experience for our users really efficient and safe, right? We've been in the market, we've been in the business for the last 10 years. And, over all this time, we've put in a lot of efforts to, add value to our users' life by saving them from spam, by, avoiding them or, saving them from any financial traps, which a lot of spammers or scammers try to do. And which is where, we have a large base of users who, continuously use us in their daily lives. And which is also testimony to the fact that almost all of our growth or user acquisition has been very, very organic, right? I'm pretty sure when you would have heard about Truecaller, you would have heard about it by some of your friends or relatives would have told that, hey, how that experience is really helping them, and would have, wanted you to also use it, right? And with the same process and with the same story, right? With such large base of users who trust us and, love the experience that Truecaller provides. What we started doing some time back was working with the developer ecosystem to help them quantify, to help them onboard, help them, engage with trusted users. As mobile number largely has started becoming the primary identity for users in all of these markets, right? And few of these developers initially came to us trying to understand how Truecaller can help them build trusted experiences, and which is where the journey started with something called as one-click, one-tap verification identity for users. The reason being primarily all the users that we have are mobile number verified users, and there is a certain trust established between Truecaller and its users, and that helps us take that to all the third-party apps and developers, and does have a frictionless experience. And during this entire time, we've been building this for over last 3 years now. We've worked with so many developers, so many products, so many mobile apps, which has given us a lot of learning in terms of what do users really expect, right? And this has become much more important in times like today. The reason being, similar to what we are facing here in India, we also have our teammates there in Kenya, and we all are going through a same phase where COVID has really struck all of us, right? And which means that it has put all of us in our homes. A lot of our behavior has gone online. Few of the things which might have been online and you probably never tried before, there is more propensity for end users to now go online and make that purchase or explore a lot of those things online, and which is where mobile becomes their first set of device or first set of computer, to say in more technical terms, where they will start accessing internet or doing these things, right? As we all know, both India and the African contingent is primarily a developing market, which means very less people have access to proper systems such as desktops or laptops, and lot more users and masses are going to access internet on mobiles. And which means that mobile inherently, which offers a very constrained space in terms of representing or conveying what you want to with your users, and which means that you need to have a very, very easy and understandable experience for a lot of these users, right? You need to have something where they have a very easy learning curve. If you try to build something, which is going to take a toll on them, all your efforts which you've put up in acquiring these users is gonna, go in vain, right? And taking pieces from what Dora shared with us earlier, right? You will be able to do a lot of the stuff which Dora shared in a much right way, only when you have enough users coming into your platform and engaging with you, right? And which is where it is very important that you have a simple experience for these users, right from when they get onboarded on your app or your mobile site, to helping them understand what they need to do, why they need to do, right? People who are building these products, we would always have a notion in our mind that, hey, I need this data or I need this information for XYZ reasons. But for the end user, it is very difficult to understand in the first go that why do they need this information, right? I'm probably, hearing this apps for the first time in the life. Or for example, for that matter, I'm probably taking a cab by Little Cabs for the first time ever. But then why do they need this information? Or why should I give it to them, right? What about the privacy angle? A lot of these questions will come to those minds, though you may not have you may have a very good motive behind all of this, but it is very important that this information being conveyed to the users. The reason being, a lot of these people would have interacted with businesses in the offline scenarios, right? Where they have a person in which they are talking, right? Let's say if I'm looking to buy something in a shop, I will go inside the shop, the shopkeeper will interact with me, he or she will ask me, what are you looking for? Why are you looking for? Can you tell me these things? And hence there is that trust established, right? However, here when your users are coming online, you need to do things that will help them trust you, and which means you need to have a step-by-step process where you capture information and make them comfortable with your platform, right? You need to do so. The first part comes in a lot of times is when they are onboarding inside your app or on your website. Ask minimal information and in the most easiest way, right? So as said, when you want to understand the identity of the user, which is what we've been also trying to do with Ngamia, right? One of the key things that we have, which I spoke about, the Truecaller SDK, the Truecaller experience. It's a very simple experience where users just have to click on a button and they are in. But what that does is primarily reduces the friction on the user's end, that he or she does not need to keep typing a number or wait for an OTP or enter their name or email, which can be very intimidating for them because it's going to be a time spending experience for them, and they may not realize the value that what is that I'm getting outside of it, right? You as a developer or a product will know that, okay, I'm able to form a profile of my user. I can go back to him, but user really doesn't understand or realize the value. Hence, it is very important to subside that, use things, something like a Truecaller SDK can first get the users in, right? Unless you get those users in, on your home screen, and they don't start exploring what services you're offering, what is in it for them, it will always be very difficult to build an engagement for them, right? Second, a lot of times the way you should analyze this entire story is what are your acquisition mediums, right? So is it organic? Basically, am I telling to my friend or my relative that, hey, this app is wonderful or this service is wonderful and can help you as well? Or is it primarily digital, right? Which means that the creatives, the copy that you use when you run a lot of your ad campaigns or digital campaigns have to be something that people understand. And when they come inside your app, it should right away convey it, right? So for example, for someone like Ngamia, I'm probably looking for a commute service to move things between two places. And that is the ad that I saw. Now, when I come inside the app, am I able to see that experience right up front? Or I have to traverse between screens and find out, hey, how do I book a ride for going point A to B, right? On coming on the home screen, the user should understand and realize what is the value I'm going to get out of it. Is my objective going to be achieved here or not, right? For example, when you go into a shopping app, you would want to explore a lot of things, maybe electronics, maybe clothes, maybe other items. But does that first experience help you do that? If not, the user is going to get lost and eventually he or she will drop off, right? So this is what you need to be very cognizant, that are you going to offer, are you communicating that value to the users when they're engaging with you for the first time? And if so, how are you ensuring that it is easy for them to discover, right? If you ask them a lot of things upfront, or ask them to do a lot of actions or dig deep inside the app, it is always going to be challenging for them to understand. And with least attention spans, they are probably gonna drop off and not coming back to you, right? Which is where a lot of times we see a lot of industry stats who do a lot of this surveys and studies, we see a humongous 24% drop at the onboard stage itself, right? So what that means is, in a lot of cases, if the users are not comfortable with the experience that you are providing, it is going to be a challenging experience. So which is where you need to track your funnel, that yes, how many users have landed on the first screen, how many people are getting through it, what are the reasons why they are probably dropping, is the app loading time slow, is something not coming, or they're not understanding what to do. There could be multiple reasons. Hence, you need to have key metrics defined for each of the stages, that, okay, in my onboarding funnel, 100 people are coming in, and let's say, 80 people signed up. Can I further improve that? Because when a funnel is formed, usually you will keep on seeing users dropping off. And hence, that is the slide that you need to arrest. You need to go and continuously talk with your users, that if you're seeing, that metric is not improving, you need to go and talk to them that, hey, what is going wrong, right? Your data is not reflecting it. You need to go and talk to them in person, do face-to-face interviews, or call them up and talk to them that, hey, what is something that is challenging for you? What can we improve in our experience? And take that user feedback as a part of your product design and keep on iterating it, so that you can eventually bring it to an optimum scale, right? So these are still very, very basic stuff that you need to do as a part of your overall product design, whether your users are on your app or your website, because unless they really understand what they can achieve with you, it's gonna be difficult for you to scale that experience for them, right? I'm curious to understand if anyone has any questions so far on this, or anyone has any thoughts on this.
Thank you very much, Harshad, for that sharing. I think one of the things that is coming out very clearly is that even as we integrate and as we look to ensure that we are giving a good digital experience to users, at the end of the day, data is king, and using this data, it helps us to be able to know what to do or what to fix in our, different applications that we are creating, so that we can give the end user the best experience possible. So at this point, allow me to just ask a question to Dora. There's a question that has come in to Dora. So Dora, the question is, when people are, small businesses are looking to do integrations, is it open to any form of business, or are there specific businesses that are specifically tailored to have integration? Yeah. Dora, over to you.
Right. Thanks, Aline. I think any business can integrate. Just any business can integrate. But now, even as you look to integrating, you need to understand what it is you want. So sometimes maybe you're moving from the unknown. Unknown, I mean, you don't have any systems at all. Maybe you've been doing everything manually. Maybe, for example, you sell clothes. You call your friends, you sell clothes, and maybe that's how you run maybe your clothing line or shop, But so that one of course does not have any systems, and you wouldn't really say that there's any integration there. But now, when you want maybe to take it online, or now platforms, how the topic that we're discussing today, now that's where there's potential for any business to integrate. I hope that will help the person who has asked. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dora. To you, Harshad, a question. What would you say to someone who's creating a mobile application, for example? What would you say would be the biggest lesson that they should be able to learn to create the best digital experience for the users that they're creating the mobile app for?
Sure. I hope I'm audible now. Yes. So it goes to the very basic stuff. Two things. One, what is the product or offering that you're going to sell online, that you're going to give to your users, and who are these users, right? So typically when we discuss with a lot of our product stakeholders and app product managers and other folks, we have seen that the user set is primarily divided into two demographics, right? One, probably people like us who have been on internet or desktop for a period of time, and we understand basic things, how things work, how interfaces work, and if we don't find something, we know where to go and search, right? And then there are another set of users who are just coming online, and for those people, their online learning curve is defined primarily by a lot of scaled products, right? So something like a Truecaller or Google or WhatsApp that people are continuously using. If you look at the basic user experiences of these products, it is very similar. It is very, very simple, right? User really doesn't have to put a lot of brain or a lot of efforts in understanding how it will work, right? For example, Truecaller, the basic core proposition is caller identity, right? I need to know who is calling me. That is what my users expect from my app. And Truecaller does it in the most seamless way, independent of whatever mobile device you're on. You could be on a mobile device by Apple, you could be on OnePlus, you could be on a Techno, you could be on any, but it's Truecaller's job to solve for those devices and ensure the value that user is expecting is met. Same way, if you look at Google on mobile, all user has to do is go on the search bar and just type anything. It's Google's job to find out the right set of relevant information what user might be understanding, right? So the first job is to understand and study who your users are and what are you selling online, right? Whatever you are selling online, is it going to take time for users to understand and take a call? For example, if there are festivities coming and I probably is going online to buy some new clothes, I may not really buy it in the first go. I might explore a lot of options, and then I'll probably talk to my friends or relatives, or maybe I'll buy it on my own. But a lot of times I'll come back to it to explore and look at options and then finalize one purchase, right? That is a typical behavior that we've seen. However, when I'm, for example, looking at a payment as a use case or ride booking as a use case, the user there is in an urgency, right? He or she has to go right away from a point A to point B in most of the cases, which means that here the information reflected should be very obvious that, hey, in the first stage itself, just tell me where you are and where you want to go to do that booking, and that should be it, right? You may not want to really clutter the user's thought process by sharing, hey, this is the great thing that we have or kind of things, but give them what they want on the platter at that moment, right? Same if you were to take the analogy to Truecaller, right? If we would have created a lot of friction for user to simply understand who is calling them, for them to decide whether to take the call or not, it may not have been a great experience or a success. But since we have simplified it that at any time, any call comes, we will just reflect it right away so that you can take that decision right forward. So the first thing is understand whether your users are new internet users and what kind of experience works for them. For this specific set of people, you need to have your user experience, app experience, very, very simple. Just show them basic stuff, right? Even if you're a commerce site, show them, hey, what are you looking for? So rather than asking, show them, this is the men's section, or this is the jeans section, or this is a electronic section, or kind of thing. So that they're able to find, okay, I can just click and explore. Not I go and some menu, do some search or kind of thing. Just remove those biases and give them many things on the platter so that they can quickly navigate through and learn and discover what they want.
All right, thank you very much for that, Harshad. So simplicity is key, yeah? All right.
Yes.
So I'll take this opportunity to just thank everybody who attended this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us and for engaging with us as we discussed about matters of integration. So before I can just give our panelists an opportunity, one thought. As we have discussed about integration, we have discussed about data and its importance. What we have done here at Ngamia is that we have come up with a product in form of a mobile application. So first off, we have our Transporter app. What our Transporter app has done is just basically created a platform where transporters are able to just come on board and have a convenient place to do their business from. Then we have also created a customer app. Our customer app has basically given our users an opportunity to engage with different service providers. So then a customer would just simply place, a service request on their mobile phone, and from there, they're able to access a very wide variety of services, and they're also able to quickly get access to service providers who can then help them to finish their services. So thank you so much, Harshad and Dora, for taking your time to come and share with us and to engage with us. As we finish, maybe we can just hear your parting shots for this particular session. I'll start with you, Dora. Dora, kindly unmute your mic.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So I believe there are a lot of opportunities for integration, and just even as you start the process, it's important to, as you dream, as you vision out your desired process or end goal, it's important to plan. And the planning bit is the most important. That's where you plan and you be real, so that you don't have, at least when you plan and you are real, I'll say, it helps reduce most of the challenges that you'll have along the way. So mostly that's when it comes to project, managing the projects, that will be important for you, because at the end of the day, you want to reduce, you don't want to plan integration to take 2 months, and then you take a whole year to integrate. So that planning is really important. Yeah, so get your stakeholders and understand what requirements you need, then you can start integration. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dora. Very good reminder that opportunity will always meet preparedness. Thank you very much. Harshad, your parting shots?
Absolutely. So yeah, as said, right, the opportunity is right set, and we all are building experiences for next few years. As we all know that, there is still very small % of users who are online. And there are many people coming online, right? So there is an opportunity for all of us to build nice experiences for them and build good businesses. But yeah, the biggest thing of all of this should be that we should work in cohesion with what the user wants and keep their needs always the top of the mind. A lot of times there will always be biases based on guts and based on data that we've seen. But it's always good to keep on experimenting and keep on talking to your users frequently. And once you talk to them, all of those things can be easily translated into your product requirements, how you're building and what needs to be done. And eventually, if you are able to do that in the right way, you'll definitely see success, right? So unless your users succeed with you, unless they don't do many transactions and come and frequent you more, it's always a chase. But yeah, if you always keep their priorities on the top and work in line, it becomes really easy to build right set of things for them. So yeah, that's what I think the philosophy that we've adopted at Truecaller, and we've seen a lot of our top partners adopt. So yeah, I think that's a great learning for all of us here.
Thank you very much, Harshad. That's a good reminder that it's important to have our customers in mind and make sure that we give them exactly what they need so that they can stay around. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in and for being with us during this whole time. So in case you have any other question that you would like to directly speak to the Truecaller team, the Speachnel team, or the Ngamia team, please feel free to use the contact that I will leave behind at the end of this webinar. So feel free to contact them. You can email them or call them. The contact information will be at the very end. Thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure hosting you. Goodbye. Have a good evening.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.